Kiersten, tell us more about this latest Microsoft hack, aside from the fact that it is bigger than SolarWinds.
Well, thanks very much, Emily. Thanks for having me on. So preliminarily, what we know and what we speculate is that the Chinese hacker group, it's a state-sponsored hacker group known as Hafnium, exposed the vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange, and in doing so has breached, early reports are saying, over 30,000 small and medium-sized businesses, as well as state and local governments in the United States. But different from SolarWinds, we're also seeing an impact right now of over 250,000 businesses worldwide.
So talk to us about, is it Microsoft at fault here in terms of not being ready for this? Where do you think the problem lies?
Well, to the story that William just broke, what we're seeing is real vulnerabilities in software across all technology. This was the issue with SolarWinds. It's the story that William just broke with surveillance cameras. And we're understanding more specifically what happened with Microsoft Exchange. But the important piece here is that you're starting to see the US government look at this issue. And last week, the Biden administration announced that they're going to be looking at software security standards, which means that all of the software that goes into technology, whether it's critical infrastructure or not, will have a certain level of security standards. Because the challenge that we have right now is that security is not prioritized over revenue or profit. And it seems that it's an opportunity for government to work with industry to change that.
But even for a company like Microsoft, which certainly projects that it cares very deeply about cyber vulnerabilities.
Well, and it absolutely does. I think Microsoft is the leader in security. They've shown how they prioritize it. They testified in front of Congress the last 2 weeks and made some very important statements about the work that they've been doing. The challenge is across the board, software has vulnerabilities. And if we leave it to industry, the challenge is that right now, industry, private sector, this is the only space in cyber where we ask these companies to defend themselves. And government really has to play a role in helping these companies. The landscape is huge, and industry cannot protect itself by itself. And what this is calling us to do is to bring together government and industry pre-event to be much more forward-leaning in sharing of information, actionable intelligence, nation-state activity, so that government and industry can work to prevent these types of attacks. We can't ask any company to do it by themselves.
Meantime, what do you think these Chinese hackers are going for here? What kind of damage? If the folks who breached Verkada are just trying to make a point, I assume that these Chinese hackers might actually want to do something with the information they've now obtained.
Right. Well, so the Verkada breach right now seems like it's probably an act of hacktivism. So to William's point, just essentially making a point. But what we know, and Emily, you and I have talked about this a lot, particularly over the last 6-7 months, China's aggregating data. They're collecting massive amounts of data, vaccine research, personally identifiable information, healthcare data. And the big question is, to what end? We know that they are looking to collect it for various reasons, but we actually don't know what those reasons are, which is why we have to be hyper vigilant and have industry and government truly work together to make our infrastructure stronger. And when I say infrastructure, it's not just critical. We've got to be securing our software across the board.
So first SolarWinds from Russia, then this Microsoft hack from China. Is the rest of the world beating the United States in cyberspace?
Well, I think we would be naive to think this isn't happening to other countries. But when it comes to prevention and when it comes to response, this is not a competition among our allies or like-minded economic powers. This is a call to action for the United States to work with its international partners to come together and understand what are these norms for the standards and regulations to be more secure. Cybersecurity doesn't recognize geographic boundaries, so our policies for doing so should be much more collaborative. And that's certainly something the Biden administration has prioritized. You know, a good news story in all of this is you have the National Security Advisor tweeting about cybersecurity last week, talking about the urgency. So I think, you know, these events really just urge all of us in the United States and on the world stage to truly come together, because as we've seen before, whatever happens to one partner will likely happen to another. And we're not looking for that to happen. We're actually looking to prevent this from happening again.